Hey guys, Nick Nanton here, and I've got a really fun interview for you today. This is sort of the way things happen around here. I got my friend Andre Norman, and he's going to talk to you about some very cool things. But I met Andre through our mutual friend Joe Polish, and Joe is a great connector. And we started talking, you started telling me your story on the phone. I'm like, you know what? Why don't we just get you to Orlando? Let's do an interview. Because my hope for this interview is not only for you to hear an amazing story of just hope and perspiration and hard work and just a guy who's out there changing lives. But one of the things that we're going to talk about today is the epidemic of overdoses and drugs and opioids. Some things that I honestly don't know very much about. And I think there's a lot of people, I know there's a lot of people in the same boat with me. I know there's a lot of parents in the same boat as me who have kids in their houses who are having problems with these drugs and don't even know about it. And when Andre started talking to me about the things he'd been through and what he knows about and how he flies anywhere in the world to help anyone get off the ledge, I was intrigued. So I'm glad to have you here, Andre. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I appreciate the invitation.
All good, man. So why don't we, just tell me your story, man. I'm going to interrupt you, I know, because it's probably a 2-hour story, but let's start with just tell us where you came from, where you grew up, and sort of get into your story, man.
Born in Boston, Massachusetts. My mom married a high school sweetheart. She had 2 kids, my older sister, Janine, and my favorite sister, Imani, and life was good. And her and her husband had 2 kids, and life was good, but he robbed banks for a living. So he went to prison for robbing banks, and she met my dad, a local hustler, drug dealer. She had 4 more kids. My older sister, Naomi, my older brother, Eric, myself, and my little brother, Anthony, who I do not like. I mean, it's been years. I'm 51, and we still don't get along. But people have made the mistake of trying to beat up my little brother, only to have us both beat them up. And they say, hey, Dre, I thought you said you didn't like him. And it's like, yo, but he's my brother. Only I can beat him up. So 6 kids, mom, dad, everything's fine, except for my dad had a habit of beating my mom. So you come home from school, you come home from playing, and mom might have a black eye. Sitting at the table one day, everything's funny, we're eating, we're laughing. The next day we eating and laughing, mom gets smacked in the mouth. And it was just, you just never know when, where, or how it was gonna happen. But it happened. And it got to be a normal occurrence. And as a little kid in the house, 2, 3, 4, it's just what you know. And I didn't know that in your house, your mom wasn't getting beat up. Then in somebody else's house, this wasn't happening. So it's just, you just learn to live with it. It's gonna be crazy, and you adjust. Then life goes on, and I'll never forget one day, he was beating my mom up downstairs. We were all at the top of the stairs crying, and he yelled upstairs, you better stop crying before I come up and give you something to cry for. And that saying has stayed with me my entire life. More so than the beatings, more so than anything else, that has stayed. And it was just bad, but you learn to adjust. And then from there, we get up, we go to school, we come home. I think I'm in the 1st grade. We're coming home from school one day, and rocks came crashing through our bus window. And behind the rocks came some names. The first was nigger, then porch monkey, then this kept coming. And we fall to the floor, we're crying. My cousin's bleeding from the face. I'm crying. I don't know what's going on. I get home, I go see my dad. I say, yo, Dad, who are these people? So I never met white people before. I said, why are they throwing rocks at me? Nobody's ever thrown rocks at me before. And what are these names? Because I don't know these names. I never heard these names before. What do they mean? He looked at me, I looked at him. It was an ultimate father-son moment. Then he walks off. I'm like, scratching my head like, yo, what happened? And he left me as a 9, 10-year-old kid to process the busing crisis in Boston from the 70s. But what I didn't know, but I found out later, my father was born in a town called Petersburg, Virginia, maybe 40 miles from where the slave ships first landed in this country. And he grew up in the South, in Virginia, back in the 40s, when it wasn't nice or kind for black folks. And when he walked home from school with his brothers and sisters, kids threw rocks and names at them. And my grandfather, his father, told him, that's just the way it is, run faster. So when they moved to the North, they probably figured there was something from the past, it was just over. So when it happened to me, it probably triple traumatized him. But at the end of the day, he should have, at the same time, helped me process it, and he didn't. And for me, one day the rock started, one day the rock stopped. For my mom, one day the beating started, one day the beating stopped. I came home from school one day, they said, Dad's gone. So what do you mean Dad's gone? I said, yeah, Dad's gone. He's out of here. And I didn't believe it till I ran down, if you're old school, every father in the 70s had a tool bench and had his tools, which we were all forbidden to touch. I ran down, I did not understand what my brother was saying. So I ran downstairs to my father's tool bench and all his tools were gone. Tools gone, Dad's gone. And again, nobody sat me down. We never had a discussion. He was just gone.
How old were you then?
Maybe 9, 10.
Okay.
And he was just gone. Dad's gone. And just nobody's, hey, me and Dad can't get along. He's officially over there. He's just gone. Then he would appear once in a while with gifts. And I'm a little kid. He's just there. He's not there. He's there. He's not. He'd disappear on certain days. Just boom. Dad just walk on the door and you're happy to see him.
Right.
And that's how we grew up. Then single mom, 6 kids living in the hood. We bounce around. We end up in a new neighborhood. They take me to the school. They give me a test to find out what level I'm supposed to be on. They found out I'm illiterate, just like my dad. But back in the 70s, it wasn't a problem if you were illiterate. They had a thing called the dummy class. Took all the kids who couldn't read and write, they stuck us in one room and closed the door. And that's what they did with us. And I sat in this room, door closed, and we were just geared and set aside to be dummies. And that was gonna be the rule of the land. And everybody in my house knew it. Everybody in school knew it. It was just like, Andre's a dummy, it's okay. Then one day my dummy teacher went on vacation. I don't know where she went. But while she's gone, they didn't want to put us all in one classroom because we were a lot. So they split us up. I ended up in Miss Oliver's class. So I'm jumping around, acting silly. She said, Andre, sit down. I'm jumping around. She said, Andre, sit down. And like the 4th time, she grabbed me and she slammed me in the chair. She said, I said, sit down. I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm about to be beaten like my mom was being beat. This the kids throwing rocks at me. I mean, I just had instant trauma, just flashed and I froze. And I didn't know what to do. And then she told me, sit down, and she started giving me instructions. And at first I did whatever she said out of fear, because I thought she was gonna hit me. And I didn't know what being hit meant, but it was just bad, because I watched my mom go through it. Then I did whatever she said out of fear, then what she said out of respect, then finally out of love, because I realized that she was trying to help me. Because what she did was the biggest favor anybody's ever done for me in my life. She took me out of the dummy class and she kept me in her class. So every day I reported to Miss Oliver, I stayed in her class all day. And she taught me how to read, she taught me how to write. She said, I'm not a dummy, I just learned differently. And she taught me my learning style.
Wow. A question on that. So obviously you were young at the time too to process it, but any insights? I think a lot of us in life, we get in situations and we don't know when to accept the help. Like there's been so many people, like you thought she was going to hit you. Obviously, it's sort of just happenstance where you were there long enough to where you learned, oh wait, maybe she is trying to help me. Now, one of the situations we'll talk about later with parents and kids and everything else. I mean, any insight into how to maybe know when someone truly has your best interest at heart?
At that age, 10 years old, it's hard for a 10-year-old. It's more geared towards the adult, trying to understand a kid's trauma. I had 3 lessons I learned in life, way before I stepped foot in Miss Oliver's class. 1, it's okay to hit people, because my mother can be hit, anybody can be hit. 2, I better protect myself, because no kids threw rocks and names at me, nobody came to help. And 3, I don't have to explain myself to anybody, because the day my dad walked out of the house, nobody's ever said a word. And that's how I saw the world. And when I came in contact with Miss Oliver, she was able to see my pain and see my trauma and speak to it. So it was more on her end understanding me and what I've been through than me trying to understand who she is and what she is. And if you want to make a difference in a kid's life, I always say there's 3 basic things you have to be. First is consistent. Second, have capacity. And third, you have to care about them. You know what I'm saying? So if you care about them, be consistent, have the capacity to deal with their issues. And she did, for me.
So what happened next?
After the 3rd grade, she shook my hand, she gave me a hug. She said, don't ever forget, this is how you learn. 4th grade, 5th grade, I go to middle school. I get to middle school, I found out that we're poor. In elementary school, nobody cared what you wore, nobody cared, everybody ate free lunch. Nobody even knew it was anything about free lunch, because your parents filled the form out. In middle school, beginning of the year, like, who here needs a free lunch form? I didn't know what it was. Then they explained to me, you need a free lunch form. And it's to say that these are poor kids. So I filled out the free lunch form, and I was embarrassed. I go through the cafeteria to get my free lunch. Kids make fun of me. I don't have the cool clothes on. I don't have the cool sneakers, and the kids made fun of me. And I went home, and my mom was like, yo, Mom, I mean, I'm not fitting in up here. This is like really, really tough. The kids are giving me grief. I got dirty clothes. I got old clothes. I ain't got the cool stuff. I said, I need all this stuff. I gave her a list. And she looked at me, she's like, boy, you crazy? I said, no, I'm dead serious, Mom. I need this stuff. She said, I got 6 kids, trying to keep the lights on, trying to keep food in the house, trying to keep the heat on. I didn't know at the time, but my sisters had started getting high, so she's on drugs, stealing stuff from my mom, doubling her trauma. She said, I can't do both. She said, you rather have food, lights, or that stuff? I was like, whoa, she's right. Give me the stuff. And she was like, get out of my room. So I'm like, I'm back in school, and the kids are just giving me the business. Every day, they give me the business. So one day, a friend of mine had an idea. He said, Dre, we can go to the park after school and sell weed. We can make some money. I said, cool. Sounds like a good plan to me. It's either sell weed, which that's when we started selling weed in the park after school. Every day in the school, after school, we go to the park from 3 to 6 and we sell weed. Now we got money in our pocket. I can buy better tennis shoes. I can buy the cool shirts. I can buy hats. I can buy my own. The biggest thing, it wasn't just I could buy my lunch. The lunch mothers used to make sheet cakes, these big giant sheet cakes, and sell the cakes for a quarter. I could never afford them damn cakes. I never had a quarter. Now I can buy cakes. And it was like, that was like the biggest sense of pride. I could go through the line, pay for my food, even though I was on the free lunch list, and buy the desserts. And I didn't feel less than.
Stop there for 1 second, because one of the things that obviously you now, okay, so you're in middle school selling drugs, right?
6th grade.
Yeah, we look back at that, and that's, what's really interesting is most people would make an assumption that people who sell drugs, clearly you probably knew it wasn't legal, that's why you're making some money.
Right.
But also, you were literally just trying to get some dignity in life. Like, you literally just say, man, I'll do anything I gotta do that will allow me to get some clothes, allow me to buy some sheet cake. And so you started so young that, I mean, obviously the repercussions, what would happen to you later, you had no clue. You're just trying to get some shoes and some cake.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be a tough guy. I just didn't like kids making fun of me. I mean, for kids who have the ability, their parents can buy them that stuff. When kids make fun of you, it usually starts at the middle school level, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. When your kids come at you, kids can be the cruelest people on the planet, unbeknownst to them. They don't understand the emotional trauma that they beset on the next kid. They're just being funny. They're just making jokes. They're just getting through the day. I don't believe it's malicious at that age. And what was happening was, I'm going home and I'm tormented over this stuff. It's like dominating my day. Like 80% of my day is the laughter in my head from the other kids. And it was just like horrifying. And so anything to get it to stop. I mean, these are kids today who commit suicide. These are kids who are just turning into all kinds of alternative situations, anything to get it to stop. And luckily for me, I wasn't suicidal, because had I been in that space, and unbeknownst to these kids, the pressure they're putting on me could have easily pushed me into that space. I see how kids say, you know something, I'd rather just not be here, because they can't get relief and they can't escape what's in their heads. It's like the laughter just keeps echoing.
For kids today, obviously social media is a huge pressure. There's a lot of bullying there too. Well, I mean, what do you, based on your experience, what is it just best to find an outlet? I mean, what should they do if they're feeling this pressure?
If they're feeling pressure, if it's one of the kids, you have to find an outlet. I mean, whatever they're teasing you because you're fat. They're teasing you because you're short. They're teasing you because you're black. They're teasing you because you got old clothes. There's usually a theme to what they're coming at you about. And those things usually can be changed, you know what I'm saying, or can be adjusted. So mine was more like my clothes and my gear and how I was looking, more so than who I was, because I was short. But nobody ever made fun of me for being short. I was like really short. I was like 4'11" or something. So I was like a midget in middle school. Nobody made fun of me being short. They just made fun of my clothes. So I needed to get clothes I couldn't do anything about being short.
Right.
But nobody ever made fun of me being short. It's usually that external thing they pick on you about.
Right.
In most instances.
Yes, got it. All right, so you're selling weed in 6th grade.
Selling weed 6th grade. Then they had a music program, because everybody had to be in a band. Miss Atlas put me in a band. She gave me a trumpet. So I played the trumpet. It was whatever. But I was a kid who was on punishment the entire middle school. I stayed on punishment. Getting in trouble in school, missing curfews, not doing homework. I stayed in trouble. So 5 days in the house on punishment, 6 days in the house on punishment, 3 days in the house on punishment, weekend on punishment. So there's 6 of us now. So my sisters would be on the phone. To being annoying, I'd play my trumpet really loud. My brother got company, play my trumpet really loud. I played my trumpet as loud as I could, as often as I could, to annoy everybody in the house. I was the annoying brother. And I got beat up for it. But I would annoy you on purpose. And by the end of middle school, all the kids in the district were going to the district high school. When my sisters had gone, everybody before us had gone, I'm ready to go. It's like the rite of passage, West Roxbury High School. Then Miss Ellis came to me, she said, I'm sending you to another school. I said, for what? Everybody goes to Westie. She said, no, you have a gift. So what are you talking about? She said, you're a gifted musician, Andre. I'm going to send you to this other school. It's a magnet school that has a great music program. I was like, no, I want to go with my friends. She said, no, you're going where your gift goes. Your friends will be there. No, they won't. They'll be at Westie. She said, no, you need new friends who play music. So she makes me go to the magnet school. All my friends are like, what happened? I'm like, hey, I don't know. So I go to the new school at high school. I'm there all by myself. Go into the band room. I'm kind of thugged out. And there's a room full of nerds. All these little nerdy kids holding clarinets and trombones, and I got my little trumpet. And they looked at me like, what are you doing here? I'm like, well, don't stop, none won't be none. But like real musicians, they just want to know, could I play mine? So I took the trumpet out, hit Star Wars, hit Rocky, you know what I'm saying, no sheet music necessary. They're like, you're one of us. So in the morning, I'd hang out in the band with the band kids. And in the afternoon, I'm hanging out with the thug kids. And that was my kind of like my routine. And after probably like a month or so, the thug kids are like, Dre, what's that box you're carrying? Oh, it's my trumpet. Man, that thing's stupid. You need to get rid of it. We're sneaking in the stores. We're sneaking on the buses. They're like, you need to get rid of that thing. It's like drawing too much attention. We had a slight argument. And at the end of the argument, they're like, listen, either trumpet or us. You can't be hanging with us and carrying that big box. So I'll play it. They're like, we ain't trying to hear it. I said, black folks don't play the trumpet. It's stupid. You can't make a career with it. It's a waste of time. So it was either the trumpet or my friends. I've been alone since I was a little kid. Grew up in a house full of people, but I was alone. My 2 brothers were best friends, not me. My older sisters were older, so I'm on my own. My favorite sister went off to college, so I've been on my own and alone forever. So I didn't want to lose my only friends. I didn't really super make friends with the band kids, which I should have done. So in the end, I gave up my trumpet because I didn't want to lose my friends. And I tell people, growing up poor is horrible, but tons of people have grown up poor and made it. Growing up without a dad, don't wish it on anybody. Lots of people have grown up without a dad and made it. But growing up without a dream is impossible. If you don't have a dream / your purpose, you're going no place fast. And when I gave up my trumpet that day, I gave up my dream, unbeknownst to me. And all possibilities of success ended that same day. Then from that day forward, I eventually quit the band, of course. I went through 3 years of high school, never passed a class, just got in trouble, got arrested, started getting in trouble every single day, back and forth to court. I'm on juvenile probation, and it was just all bad. And then junior year, failing 3 years in a row, I show up late to class with a friend and a radio. He wasn't even in the class. And the teacher said, you can't come in today, Dre. I don't feel like dealing with you. I'm like, come on, let me in. She said, it's late. You got your friend with you and the radio, not today. So I go out into the hallway. And anybody who's ever been in public school, I'm walking through the hallway, the security guard stops us and says, hey, Dre, you got to get out of the hallway. I'm like, yo, he said, no, superintendent's here today. When the superintendent of school comes, everything is clean, orderly, and disciplined. And everybody, the biggest mess up in the school knows what it means when the superintendent's coming. They're putting up with no bullshit today because their job's on the line. So he's like, listen, go to the gym. And I thought about it. In my gym back in high school, the kids from local projects would be up there all day. I said, dude, I can't go to the gym. I got this radio. I'm going to get robbed. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no gun on me or nothing. I said, I can't go to the gym. He was like, okay. And this is security I'm talking to. He understood completely. He said, well, he gave me all these options, but he said, Chuck, I'll tell you what. In the auditorium, there's an event going on. I was only supposed to let the smart kids in, sit in the back, just shut up, don't make no noise. He opens the auditorium and lets me in the auditorium. We're sitting in the back of the auditorium. There's some black guy down front with a bow tie telling all these kids, you can go to Italy, you can go to France, you can go to China. I'm like, for a while I was good. For like the first 2 minutes. And finally I had to be me. I'm like, yo, dude, way from the back. What are you talking about? Ain't nobody going to China, ain't nobody going to Italy. And I don't know where you found them little white kids at. They probably want to go to school here. You probably imported them. I said, what's going on? You ain't sending nobody no place. Then instead of telling me to get out, which would have been customary, he said, don't talk from the back, come talk to my face. My buddy started laughing at me like, whoa, we called you out. So out of pride, and my buddy laughing, I walked down to the front. I was like, dude, I don't know where you got these kids from. Don't none of them really probably go here. He said, you probably just don't go to class. That's why you don't see them. He said, you can go to all these different countries in the world that I'd never heard of. He said, you just got to fill this paper out. Man, that's some bullshit. You ain't no way going nowhere. You ain't taking you ain't taking no black kids anyways. But he was black. He said, he took the form, he gave it to me. He put it inside of my radio. He said, don't say no for them. Fill out the paper, make them say no. Then you argue. Whatever, I leave. Fast forward 3 months later, it was February. I'm sitting in my room on a Saturday doing nothing. And the date kept bothering me. So I go to my desk, and sure enough, it was the same day the papers were due. So I filled them out, grabbed my buddy Derek, who was a high school dropout, who was with me that day. We jumped in our stolen car. We ride over to the drop-off point. We had nothing else to do. We go up to walk up to the door. There's this nice white lady from the suburbs, some suburban mom at the door. We get to the door. She's like, how can I help you? I was like, I'm about to leave because we don't mess with white people in Boston. Let that ride. She's like, no, come here. She said, what do you need? I said, well, we're here for the exchange student program. She said, give me an application. I gave her the app. Now, we got leather jackets on, big radio, tennis shoes. She looks at my application and she says, where's your essay? I said, essay? She says, yeah, everybody has to write an essay. I said, oh, I ain't got no essay. See you later, bye. She stopped me. She said, no. She got a table and a piece of paper. She said, sit down right there and you write your essay. And she made me write my essay. And after I wrote the essay, she said, you can go inside. She opens the door, we walk inside. And when I walked in, me and my buddy Derek, it was like super nice, but super sad. Because it was the first time I saw families. Mom, you probably had this. You got wife, kids. Something's for the older kid. You have to bring the other two with you. So you dress them up. Get dressed. We're going to something for Johnny. No, I don't want to go. Shut up. It's a family trip. We're all going. It was that. It was mom, dad, maybe grandma, the brother, sister, and the student that's actually applying. I'm seeing families. I don't see families. I haven't seen my mother and father in the same room since I was like 9 years old. So to see mom, dad, sister, brother, grandma, and told everybody dressed up, moving as a unit was like, wow. And all these kids were interviewing with the different companies. There was 34 companies. And the way it worked was you would go interview with a company and they'd meet and greet you and ask you some questions. When Reagan signed the policy for this program, he wanted urban kids to go, / black kids. So he said, you can't look at grades. Because if you let grades be the determining factor, you get white and Asian kids. He said, no grades, you have to go on potential. Can't look at grades at all. So I go, you interview whoever's in the room. At the end of the interview, you might interview 15 people. Then you'd put in a list, 1 to 15. Well, if Johnny gets it, we want Johnny. Then we'll take Sarah. Then we'll take Bobby. 1 to 15. Every group interviewed whatever amount of people came to them. Then they had to make a list, 1 to 20, 1 to 30, in order they would take them if they got a scholarship. I was number 1 on every list.
Wow.
And when I walked out, went back home, didn't know it. When the scholarships came out, they looked. That's how they determined who got the scholarship. If nobody wanted you, there was no point in giving you a scholarship because these companies were going to end up paying. I was number 1 on every list. And it was a company called Facets. They called me up. They said, Andre, we want you, but we have a prerequisite that you have to speak French because we only do the south of France. We're trying to get around the prerequisite. Go home, go back to school. The principal, Mr. Hennessy, God bless him. How you doing, Mr. Hennessy? I made it. See, I made it. he got the notice of the scholarship program. Imagine he opens the folder up and it says scholarship winner Andre Norman. He's like, this is humanly impossible. No, I want the folder for the scholarship kids. No, that's the folder for the scholarship. No, this is not possible. This kid hasn't passed a class ever in this school. He's been arrested multiple times. He beat up the senior class president as a freshman. There's no way humanly possible this kid won the scholarship. What was he even doing in the room? They're like, we don't know what happened. And he called the guy. I forget the guy's name, and called him up, was like, listen, we need to have a meeting. We have this big meeting, and Mr. Hennessy tells the guy, listen, this is wrong. I don't know how y'all came to this. This is wrong. And this person, he didn't use those words, is not going to represent this school anywhere. He's like, I'm not having it. I'm not going for it. He's one of the worst kids that we have. I'm not going it. Y'all made a mistake. And the man told him, he said, first, let me explain something to you. It's not your money. Second, it's not your decision. And third, you have no say. He's going, if you agree or not. He was selected to have the most potential of any kid in the Boston public school system. If you don't agree with that, that's your business. We had 34 companies come to the same conclusion. And he's going. Shook my hand. He said, let's go. And he took me to lunch. He didn't say, I told you so. He said, never say no for them. Then they set me up. I had a scholarship to go to Europe. I got to go to London, Belgium, Amsterdam, Brussels, and France. And it was kind of like Miss Oliver.
I saw the potential. It's really interesting too, because obviously you, again, you've had a fascinating life. I mean, what do you think that it was that made you even turn in that form? Were you wanting someone to validate the fact that you knew you had something inside you? Like, what was it that instead of just burning that form or just doing something else, what made you turn in?
I actually took the form home, just threw it in my drawer, and left it. And for some reason, I read it. It was February 5th. And when I was sitting in my room that day, it was a Saturday, something said, something's supposed to be happening today. You ever had that? Something's supposed to happen today? Oftentimes we forget, then you remember 3 days later. A friend invited me to something last week. He said, Dre, Sunday, we're going to this event. I'm like, cool, you got me, I'm there. Then I woke up Sunday and I slept all day. I said, I got up and went to the movies. While I'm at the movies, my friend texts me, he's like, hey, I'm at the event. I'm like, whoa. I had nothing to do. I was looking for something to do, so I ended up going to the movies just to fill my day when I was supposed to be at an event. I just forgot. That day, I just happened to remember. And we were doing 100% of nothing. So we said, why not? Let's just go. We didn't know what we were going to. Why not? We had nothing else to do. We jump in the car, we ride across town. Something to do.
Something to do. Got
Something
it.
to do.
So you go through Europe and
Before I went to Europe, I had to get clothes. Getting a passport with my parents was like a mission.
Okay.
That was a mission unto itself, but the counselors helped, my parents helped me get a passport. Then I got the passport, I got the certificate, I got my tickets, everything set. I don't have clothes.
Are you still selling weed at this time or no?
Yeah, I'm robbing people at this time.
Okay.
It was easier to rob people who sold weed than to sell it yourself. So you can stand in the park for 4 hours and sell weed. Or you can wait for someone else to sell weed for 4 hours and come just take their money at the end of their shift. So that's when we started doing that instead. So we went out and robbed a bunch of people to buy clothes and have spending money for me for the summer. So we're out robbing people. We get arrested. Probably was like May 20th or something. They arrested us for like 6 unarmed robberies, 2 robberies, home, all kinds of stuff. Take us to court. My mother comes in, everybody comes in, and the judge is like, okay, lock him up. Then my lawyer said, this kid has a chance to go as an exchange student to Europe this summer. Miss Jackson, Judge Jackson, she had a choice of, say, I don't care. He just got arrested for 7, 8 robberies. He ain't going no place. She continued my case until the fall so I can go on a trip. She said, don't embarrass me.
Wow.
And I got to go.
What was it like over there after just sort of the life you had lived thus far? What'd you see?
Summer '84, we went to London. We did exchange. We went to France. We went to Amsterdam. Stayed with a host family. I had a ton of fun. But I'm back in London, summer '84, Olympics, Michael Jackson victory tour. My brother got to go, not me. I was almost considering staying home to go to Mike's tour. I wish I would have, kind of, sort of. But I'm running around. And I love video games. So we're in the bars, we're drinking, we're doing all kinds of stuff we shouldn't be doing. Met a lot of friends. My best friend ever in life, Morgan Zelkin, met her on that trip. She's from Miami. So shout out to Morgan and Chauncey, little sister. Chauncey's my heart too. And I just met all these great kids who come from all their parents paid for them to go. There was 100 of us on the tour. I was the only scholarship kid. But there was one girl, her father paid for the dentist's daughter to go with her so she have company. And I remember the first day of the trip, they're like, hey, we're having an event at the end of the summer. Are your parents coming? Like, what part of the way in London ain't you understanding? But they were like, and sure enough, parents showed up. But for me, the biggest thing over the summer, other than making a lot of good friends with good people, was I used to play the video games in the bar. At first, I put my name up there. You win, you get to put 3 initials. I put DRE. By the end of the summer, I started putting USA. Because I understood I was outside. It was my first time outside of the country. People identified me as American. So I played the video games, and you come into the bar, the whole lineup say USA. The top 20 high scores were all mine. And I put USA instead of my name. And that transition was different and helpful. Because I used to be just me, then it was all of us. And it's the day after 4th of July. It was a us thing. It was Olympics, it was I'm in Europe and I'm American, and I finally got to understand what that meant. Living in the city, going to public school, living in the hood, you don't get a sense of what it really means to be an American. You just live under siege and in trauma every day. So it's like you're battling every day, so you don't get a chance to benefit or feel the American dream or the American pie or whatever the thing it is that it is. Even at that level of poverty and trauma, is still a lot better than in some countries, hands down.
Yeah.
As an adult, I've got to visit many different countries, from Haiti to West Africa to Honduras to Guatemala. I've seen poverty, and I would dare to say there's no poverty in America. If you want to use comparative countries, we don't have poverty. We have people with issues. I can show you poverty. I can take you to Haiti, I can take you to Honduras, I can take you to Guatemala, West Africa. I can show you poverty, where they put up buildings with no plumbing because there's no electricity. People get water out of fire hydrants. People are just shitting on the side of the road. I can show you poverty.
Yeah.
We have issues. But as a kid, you don't understand. Like I said, I didn't understand that other people were or were not being beaten, like my mom. I didn't understand that people were literally starving in other countries, or dying from curable diseases, or drinking bad water. We always had water.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Some people don't have water. I mean, it's like I couldn't fathom not having water until I went to other countries that did not have water for their poor.
Wow. So anything else eventful, or you sort of go back after the summer? And
I go for the summer. I come back. Case gets probation or something. Then I turn 17. Then the same thing I did last week as a juvenile, which got me a slap on the wrist, I did again at 17, and there's this mythical thing called juvenile adulthood. Then I got arrested for the same stuff, but this time they took me to a county jail. And I'm like, what happened to the juvie? What happened to snack time? What happened to counseling? They're like, oh, that's over. Ain't no snack time in the county jail. And then it just, you shift over from being a redeemable kid to just a throwaway adult. Wow. And it's like a 2-month span. I'm not talking about I went from 16 to 30. I'm talking about 16 to 17. Yeah. In Massachusetts, the adult line was 17. I just kept all my cases piled up on me, and I walked into court one day and started reading off sentences: 7 to 10 years, 9 to 10 years, 9 to 10 years, 10 years, 10 years, 15 to 20, 15 to 20. Then they said, okay, here's 5 more for the road. They put you in a van, they drive to state penitentiary, and they drop you off. About 18 months removed from Paris, I'm in state prison. We're almost 100 years worth of sentences stacked up.
Wow. And that's all from robberies, essentially?
Robberies. I used to rob drug dealers. They had the money. People say, why do you rob drug dealers? They have the money.
Yeah.
You can rob the corner store. You can rob an old lady. You can rob a drug dealer. If I ask you which you think had more money, everyone's going to say the drug dealer.
Yeah.
That's why I robbed the drug dealers. They had the money. By this time, I'd go to drug houses and rob the whole house.
Well, I mean, for a guy who's never robbed a drug house, what does that look like? I mean, you go in there with a bunch of guys, you go in there with weapons,
You get 3 or 4 guys. We go to a neighborhood. You go in the suburbs. This is why I'm back working in the suburbs. You go to the suburbs. There's right now in every suburb, there's some kid selling drugs out of his mom's house, or if he's old enough, out of his house. Doesn't have guns, doesn't have pit bulls, doesn't have bars on the door, none of that stuff. So I go to the neighborhood, I find out where the drugs are being sold, and you just track it all the way back to eventually you find the guy who's in charge, who's controlling the source. Some little nerdy kid, you know what I'm saying, who lives in a nice house on a quiet street. Then we'd go to their house, knock on the door, pull out some guns, be like, listen, you know what time it is. And those kids are like, hey, we are so sorry. We are so sorry. And the kid be like, hey, give them the stuff that's in the basement. Shut it. They're trying to get them out of here.
Yeah.
Because for them, they're selling drugs isn't really for money. It's just for like status or something to do or to be cool.
Yeah.
So when their lives are threatened, they understand that their lives are valuable. And they're like, oh, no, these drugs are meaningless. And they kick everything in, no problems, no disputes, and you're out the door. It worked wonderfully until it goes bad. Then when the phone call goes in, 3 black guys in a super rich white neighborhood with guns, police came from everywhere.
I have no doubt.
They
So you're in prison.
I'm in prison, scared to death. I'm in Newman, I'm in the orientation unit in Newman, scared to death. Because I've heard the stories, I heard the reports, I've seen the movies, it's all bad. So my plan was when I walked out to Newman, the first guy that approached me, I was gonna punch him in the mouth. We're just gonna start a fight, I'm not going out like a sucker. So I get to the unit, got my fist balled up, I'm ready to start fighting. Guy walks up, he says, hey, Dre. I lift my head up ready to punch him. He's like, Dre. And right before I hit him, I realized, he's like, yo, it's me, Melvin. What you doing? It was Melvin from the dummy class. I said, what took you so long? We knew you was coming. He said, everybody's here. He said, Thaddeus is here, we're all here. What took you so long? And it was like, oh, shit. All the kids from dummy class, from probation, from the park where I sold weed, movies we used to cut and hang out downtown, everybody got suspended. They were all at the prison. It was just like a big reunion of everybody who flunked high school. And they were like, hey, come on, man, let's hang out. They gave me a pair of tennis shoes. We went on 30 minutes after I got to the unit. Maximum security, I'm out on the course playing hoops. It was just like a big reunion. And I was like, okay. The fear part was gone. And you kind of didn't focus on, you got to do 20 years because you're with your friends. These guys I've been hanging out with my whole life. So it was all cool. And that's ending in prison. But and I got to meet the boss. Because when they first get there, they're going to say, where you from? So let's say you go to jail in Florida. Where you from? You're from Orlando. You're going to get with the Orlando guys. There's some guys from Miami. There's some guys from Fort Lauderdale. There's some guys from Daytona. There's guys from Tallahassee. They're going to put you with the city you're from. That's how it works. So when I got there, they said, where you from? I'm from a town called Mattapan. They said, well, okay, you're with the Mattapan guys. So they tell the Mattapan guys, you got a new guy here, soldier. So there's a guy named Dominic Williams, who was a local icon, hero in our neighborhood. He was like our big, huge guy. He was like the gangster of the town. We all loved Dominic. We all looked up to Dominic as kids. Now I'm sitting face to face with Dominic. I'm like, whoa, this is like him. I was like in awe. He said, come on, youngin'. He knew my older brothers, older sisters. He knew the house because he's from the neighborhood. I'm with them. And I made up my mind that first couple of days, I wanted to be the boss. It's a pecking order when you go to prison. You come in, you're at the bottom. Dominic happened to be at the top. And seeing him and I'm like, yo, I want to be number 1 guy here. And I set a goal. I made a goal in my mind. I'm going to be the number 1 guy in the prison system.
What are the different benefits one gets up and down the pecking order? I mean, why do you want to be the boss? Respect? I mean, is it back to that?
It's an American thing. Who doesn't want to be number 1? Come on. Who you want to be number 5?
Nope.
Come on, this is. Well, I don't listen. If you want to be number 5, there's a problem. I got a problem with you. If you want to be number 5. Now, if you end up being number 5 and you're the best number 5, that's great.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't go in wanting to be number 5.
Yeah.
So it's just been my personality. I was the toughest kid from my county, toughest kid from my school, toughest kid from juvie, toughest kid in the county. Can I be the toughest guy in the state? It's just a challenge. When you move to the next level, you want to take on the best they are.
So how do you get to the next level? By fighting people or what?
You fight daily. So they gave me some rules and they gave me the lines, and so I'm fighting. You have to fight to prove yourself. It's like in boxing. You come in, you're nobody. You have to fight your way up, and you fight your way up the standings. Every time you win a fight, you move up a little bit. You move up a little bit. You can't beat up bums because that doesn't count. You got to take on known people, and you just every situation that you find yourself in, and you have to win it. And if it's like 3 guys chumping you over a pack of cigarettes, or if it's 2 guys trying to push you around over the phone, every situation you're in, it's like a confrontation that's rated. You get an evaluation. How did he handle that situation? Well, the CEO ran up on him. How did he handle that? The 2 white guys ran up on him. The Spanish guy ran up on him. The other gang ran up on him. How is he? And you just keep moving up.
But every time you move up, are you getting, I guess the actual jail staff? Are you getting moved down in their rankings of into more maximum security, or
I'm
what?
in max.
Okay, so
I'm
there's nowhere to
already
go.
at the max. I'm at the max. I'm at the max already. When I first went in, they sent me to the classification center. I did like 3 or 4 days at the max. I had this goal of wanting to be the best. They sent me to the classification center, which is a medium. I know I couldn't. It's a lower security, which means every fight there is not considered the same. So I got in so much trouble that they sent me back to the max. I was there for like 2 weeks. Usually you come in, you go to the max for 3 days, they send you to the class center, then they'll send you to a medium security. I don't want to be in medium security. I want to be with Dominic. So I got in a bunch of trouble, and they sent me back to the max. He's like, what are you doing back here? I'm like, I don't know, they sent me. But intentionally, I got in trouble to go back there on purpose. So I beat up a bunch of people, gave the COs a lot of hard time, they sent me back. Now every day I'm just trying to prove myself. I'm hanging with the best. To be the best, you need to be around the best. So Dominic's like the boss of the prison system. So I'm with him every day. And I'm watching him, I'm watching everything he does. How he interacts with people, how he talks to people, how he handles situations, how he talks to the staff, how he's handling the drugs, how he's handling the debts, everything. And every day I'm just with him, just walking around behind him, just watching everything he does. And just studying. And I remember one time I'm in the unit, and me and the guy got in an argument. He was like, yo, okay, well, after lunch, we go to the library, we can fight this out. You ain't said nothing but a thing to me. So I go to lunch. He didn't know I was in the biggest gang in the prison. I go to lunch. I say, yo, Dominic, after lunch, I got a beef in the library with this group from my block. He said, well, can you beat him? I said, dude, check this out, right? What I'm going to do is, I got this plan. He said, no, can you beat him? I said, I got the pipe you gave me. I got the knife. I'm going to pipe him first. I'm going to plug him up. I got this. He said, no, Trey, can you beat him? I said, I've been doing my workout. You see me on the bars. I'm putting my work in. I hit the bag every day. He said, shut up. I'm like, yo. He said, can you beat him? I want to hear about that extra stuff. One-on-one, head up, can you beat him? No odds, yes or no? I said, well, no. He said, okay, yo, BB, you got the beef. Yo, Stan, you watch his back. Dre, you got the door. I'm like, yo. He could see the disgust in my face. We're like, yo, I'm trying to prove myself here. He said, dude, we don't take losses. On this team, we don't take losses. I don't care nothing about your little ego and pride and what you're trying to get done. If you can't beat them, we ain't risking it. You said it yourself. You can't win. All this fly, slick stuff out the window. He said, this ain't about you. This is about us. We can't take a loss because you're trying to prove something. So shut up and watch the stairs and do your job. We go down to the library after lunch. BB and Stan came, and I watched somebody fight for me. Hurt my feelings. But I learned a lesson, that it wasn't about me, that I was actually a member of a team. And for the team to win, sometimes I had to stand down or take different roles, if I liked them or not. And it was one of the best lessons that I learned while I was in prison, that it's not about the individual, it's about the collective.
So where do you go from there?
From there, after like 9 months in the prison system, it's going haywire. The DOC realizes this young guy, being me, is a problem. If we saw Michael Jordan in high school and saw him play, you saw LeBron in high school.
Right.
Everybody who saw LeBron play in high school knew he was going to be a problem when he got to the NBA.
Right.
It was hands down written on the wall. LeBron James is a man-child. He doesn't know it yet, but he's playing with high school kids. But we all, NBA level, college level, says he's going to be a problem. So the people in charge of the system are looking at me and saying, he's going to be a problem. For whatever reason, this kid got it, and he's about to be a problem for us. So what they did is they locked me in maximum security segregation to try to break my spirit. They put me around this thing called the 10 block. Holds the 60 most dangerous prisoners in the state. They threw me in there with them, hoping that they would chew me up. I went in there, guys loved me. I mean, we actually started riots in the blocks against the COs. It got really bad. They brought in attack, and we're all locking ourselves 24 hours a day. But they brought in attack teams and everything else, people attacking COs, setting stuff on fire. After investigation, the investigators said, hey, if you want this block to go back to normal, get rid of the guy in 45. I said, that's Norman, he's nobody. He's got less than a year in prison. These are hardened criminals. These guys got murder cases in jail. He's just a little rookie guy that got thrown out here to get taught a lesson. So he's a spark plug. He's the source of all this energy is coming out of him. So they called downtown to the commissioner. They said, okay, he's getting worse. So they said, we got plan B. They put me in a van. They drove me out of the state, drove me to Pennsylvania to a place called Lewisburg. It's United States Penitentiary. It's one of the most dangerous places in the country. At 18 and a half years old, they dropped me off at USP Lewisburg. Just turned around and drove off. My first 20 days in Lewisburg, I watched 20 people forcibly raped. There were like 2 or 3 murders and too many stabbings to count. My first night in Lewisburg, I'm in the dorm, I'm chilling, I'm on my bed. They come in at 11 o'clock, they count everybody. Then they leave. They're gone for like 2 hours, they're counting the rest of the prison. Well, 11:05, 6 guys jumped off their bed, ran over to a guy's bunk, started beating him up. Okay. When they finished beating him up, they started raping him. I'm like, not okay. So I'm sitting here like 20 feet away listening to this guy get raped. I'm like, it's not a nice sound. This is just all bad. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I know he's getting raped, but this is just horrific. I'm horrified. I'm like, okay. Then they finish and they go back to their bunk. Then the unit goes back to normal. Well, I ain't moving. I'm sitting on my bunk like, am I next? What's going on? And I stayed up the rest of the night because I was not going to sleep. And the guy that got raped stayed up the rest of the night. I sat there listening to him moan and just cry all night. And in the morning, they took him out. I went to one of the guys. I was like, yo, man, what was all that about? They said, that's what they do to people here. They rape them. Okay. So why'd they rape him? He was weak. That makes sense. Well, how did they know he was weak? He projected weakness. Cool. What is projected weakness? I need to know that. And he says, it's how you stand, it's how you respond, it's how you look somebody in the eye, it's how you handle your situations, how you comport yourself. Man, as soon as he turned around, I'm pulling out every piece of projected weakness in my system. Then the next night, somebody else got raped. Then the next night, somebody else got raped. Then I went from understanding projected weakness to understanding projected strength, being assertive, being aggressive. I'm saying being that dominating spirit in the unit. And I'm fine. I mean, these guys are getting raped, they're getting tossed around, they're getting stabbed. I have no problem. Then I had taken over the phone job, with phone orderly. So if you wanted to call home, you had to pay me $50. I controlled the phones. Me and my little crew, we controlled the phones.
How do people in jail get money?
Family. So if you had a relative in jail, he called you, say, Uncle Nick, I need $50, need $100. You're gonna send it to him.
How do they get it? Like I don't know any of this.
They don't get physical cash.
Okay.
You would send it to the institution. There's an account
Okay.
that goes in and gives him credit. It's like a bank.
Okay.
So you send money to Bank of America on my behalf, but it's to the institution, and they say, hey, well, Andre has $100. Then somebody else sends, Andre has $200. Andre has $500, and I could spend inside the institution that amount of money. Now for me, I charge you cigarettes. Your wife would, you call home and say, hey honey, I need you to send this guy $200 so I can call you every other day. Because if you don't send him $200, I'm not getting on the phone. So if you called your wife and gave her my name and address, would she send $200? Because she wants to talk to you, she will.
Right. Got it.
So, I mean, you can make money move. Then you trade stuff, cigarettes, food, canteen, but mainly cash. I prefer cash. So this guy who wanted to use the phone, who couldn't get on, there's 100 slots, there's like 140 people. So there's 40 people automatically not getting on the phone. Then I'm selling slots. So you want a half hour. So that's 3 slots. That's another 2 people not getting on the phone. So at the end of the day, it was probably 40 people getting on the phone a day. And there's 100 that didn't. This one guy wanted to call home, but he didn't have any money. So, sorry. Capitalism. So he finally gets fed up with not getting on the list. He goes to the CO and tells the CO, the guy Andre's selling the phone time, he won't let me on the phone. So the CO comes to me, makes a big fuss about it, tells the guy, complained about him not getting on the phone. He walks off. The whole unit's looking at me like, okay, that guy that snitched on you, what you gonna do? You run around here talking tough, you selling phone time, what you gonna do about that guy snitching on you? So I'm like, okay, project strength, project weakness. So I got a choice. I can stab this man at 11 o'clock. I can get raped at 11:05. Those are my options.
So you make your decision.
I stabbed the hell out of him. I tried to chop his head off. And it wasn't trying to be tough, wasn't trying to be a killer. I didn't want to be a rape victim. Pure, simple fact. I did not want to be a rape victim. So I tried to take his head off. And that's what that was. That was the first time I ever really tried to kill anybody. And it was just all bad. I remember one time, before then, I come around the block, I walk in, come through, you probably sent the guy. Turn the corner, there was a white kid on the top bunk. Blonde hair, probably like 5'7", weighed, 120 pounds. Blonde hair, blue eyes, white kid, knees clutched to his chest, and he's crying. I'm like, as soon as I saw him, the first thought that came to my mind is he's it at 11 o'clock. And I guarantee you, everybody that turned their corner and saw that white kid on the top bunk said the same thing. He's it at 11 o'clock. There was no way around it. But this time, I never really got caught up in that. That's not my scene. I don't get net mix. That's over there. I sell phone time.
Right.
Play basketball. But when I saw this kid, he was so out of place. Like somebody messed up some paperwork somewhere and he just got shipped to the wrong place. And he was. I wanted to go over to him, tap him on his foot, say, stop fucking crying, go over to the desk, tell the officer you need to go to protective custody. Because at 11 o'clock, your whole world is going to change. And if you walk over to him and say you want protective custody, he's going to take you out of here. And it'll be a lot better for you. He didn't know anything about protective custody. He didn't know anything about anything. He just know he was in prison, away from his family, and he's crying.
Right.
I didn't say anything at 7 o'clock. I wanted to tell him, didn't say anything. 8 o'clock came, 9 o'clock came, didn't say anything. 11 o'clock came, and they raped him. It was no secret. It was no different. He just got raped. In the morning, they took him out, like they did all the rest of the victims. And the difference that time, I'll tell you about fighting in the gym. I'll tell you I've had riots on airplanes and made them land them. I'll tell you I've been convicted of attempted murder in jail. I can tell you I've never lost a fight since the 7th grade. I can tell you all these tough guy stories. Everybody in prison got tough guy stories. Everybody in business got tough guy stories. Everybody in law, all these lawyers, these corporate, this Navy, everybody got tough guy stories. Everybody got tough guy stories. But I'm going to tell you the truth. That day in that unit, I was a coward. I wanted to help somebody. And the fear of what was going to happen to me prevented me from helping them. So I stood by and I did nothing. I could have walked over, tapped that kid on his foot, and the trauma he's suffering to this day, 30 years later, would not have been there. But my tough guy stories are just that, stories. Because when push came to shove, I shrunk. I didn't stand up. And knowing now, this is a simple premise. God will never give you a mission that you can't carry through. I was given a concept and a mission to save this kid. And I didn't do it. I didn't trust in myself. I didn't trust in God. I didn't trust in nothing. I trusted and listened to my fear. And that kid is suffering to this day. And I could have prevented it.
So obviously from that day, it bothered you from then. So
people ask me about regrets. Andre, do you have regrets? I robbed drug dealers. I don't regret that. I sold weed to weed heads. I don't regret that. You know what I'm saying? I did a lot of stupid shit in my life. If you said pick a regret, that's it. That's it. Because 2 reasons. 1, that kid's life is ruined. And 2, I don't like thinking of myself as a coward. But the truth is, that day I was. So if I could remove that blemish on my record, nobody knows. See, nobody knows that I had that thought. So nobody could look at my mind and say, Andre, you want to do this. But there's probably other people in the unit want to do the same thing. So if I could go back, that's something that sits in my soul that I can tell. When they say, look in the mirror. You look in the mirror, do you like the guy that you see? When I look in the mirror, sometimes I see the guy from that unit who was a coward. I don't like that guy. I can look in the mirror and tell you about a lot of wonderful things I've done in my life. I've helped thousands of people all over the world. But I didn't help that kid. And it wasn't because I couldn't. I don't feel bad about things that I can't do. So I can't feed all of South Africa. I can't stop mudslides in Guatemala. There's a lot of things that I can't do. I don't feel bad about those. It's the things that I can do, and I didn't. So if you're the top businessman in the world, it's the thing that you can tell us the glory stories. Tell us the time that you shrunk down. And when you come to grips with that, that'll make you a better person. I don't want to be a better person off this regret, but it's made me a more committed person.
So next day, what happens?
Next day, life goes on, and eventually the guy tells on me. I stab him. They ship me out. I go on like a cross-country tour from Pennsylvania to Oklahoma to Tennessee to Alabama to Texas to New York to Indiana to Atlanta, Georgia. I got shipped around the country. You name it, I was there. I was fighting. I was stabbing, just getting in trouble every day, proving myself. After 2.5 years in the federal system, they called Massachusetts and sent me back. They said, you can have this one back. He's too much. We can't catch him. We can't kill him. He sent me back. The reason they sent me, they thought I was going to be a rape victim or a stabbing victim. They expected me to be a victim of some sort, which would have broke the little Andre going to be a giant. I came back 10 times bigger than they sent me and just took over their system and everything that they saw coming happened. I'm now the boss. I'm the 3rd ranking gang member in the state. I got a team that doesn't quit. I control the commerce, being drugs, gambling, extortion, staff manipulation. We have staff to work for us. Across the board, we're in charge, and I'm the guy. And then I find myself into a dispute with another young and up-and-coming gang, and we end up fighting it out, and I ended up with stabbing it out. I ended up with 2 attempted murder charges on a young and up-and-coming gang. And I'm back in segregation, and 10 years added to my sentence, and I think I've arrived. I'm arrived. I just got 10 more years added to my sentence in hell. This is getting better by the minute. And my mother came to see me, and she said, how do you get in jail? I said, I'm working hard, Ma. And I'm sitting in seg for 2.5 years for trying to hurt these other guys who looked just like me, had the same problems as me. I just didn't see it. Then some friends of mine got stabbed in a riot. Word came to me, I was going to retaliate. But before I could retaliate, God spoke to me. And God said, Andre, don't do this. Because my plan was to go stab these 7 guys. God said, don't do it. And I was like, God, why are you bothering me? See, all of my life there's been no God. My mother used to get beat up, there was no God. When those kids threw rocks at us, there was no God. When I used to go to school with dirty clothes, there was no God. For every Saturday that my father said he was coming and never showed up, there was no God. And my sister became an addict, and then went through all that drama, there was no God. So I don't know why you're here bothering me. Go find them people that are praying to you or something. You know, there's a whole church full of people someplace praying to you. Why are you bothering me? I'm just going to go do what I do because I run this place. I'm about to be the #1 guy in the system. See, once I stab these 7 guys, I'll go from 3 to 1. That was my goal, to be #1, and that's right there. It's right there. So if you'd please move, I'd be okay. And God was like, don't do this life choice. And in the end, God won the argument. I go back to my cell. I don't speak any different languages. There's nothing floating. It's just me, a knife, and a state toilet. I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? If I can't be the psychopath, why be in prison? I said, okay, for the first time in 6 years, I said, I want to go home. I want to be free.
So this year, like 25, 26 now?
24.
Okay.
I said, I want to be free. Then I looked around, looked at the white guys, the black guys, the Spanish guys, the Asian guys, the guys who went to church, the guys who went to mosque, the guys who worked in the kitchen, the guys who cleaned up the yard, the guys who worked in the library, the guys who got high, the guys who preached on the yard. I looked at every group there was. Not one group or subgroup went home from prison and didn't come back. I realized free is a trick. Anybody watching this thing and you're in jail, free is a trick. It does not work. Because the truth is, you can sit on your bunk and they'll kick you out eventually. You can do 100% of nothing and get free. And that's what people are doing. They do 100% of nothing, the time runs out, and they give them freedom. They're not ready or prepared. So I said, I don't want free because free don't work. I switched it to success. So I want to be successful. So I said, I'll go home, go to college, I'll be successful. So I picked a school called Harvard University. So I go home, go to Harvard, I'll be successful. So I came up my cell the next day, went up home, I got my guys together. I said, yo, check this out. Fellas, I figured it out. They said, what's good, Dre? I said, I figured it out. I said, I'm going to go home, I'm going to go to Harvard, I'm going to be successful. And they looked at me. I was like, no. I'm going to go home, I'm going to go to Harvard University, I'm going to be successful. Now, they wanted to laugh at me, but I had a habit of stabbing people. So nobody laughed. Then my best friend pulled me to the side and said, yo, Dre, what's this go home, go to Harvard stuff? I said, dude, I figured it out. I got it. Clear, it's easy. 1, 2, 3, success. This shit's over with. And he was like, dude, but you're black. You can't go to Harvard. I said, I know I'm black. He said, but you're in jail. I said, I know I'm in jail. He said, you can't read. I said, yeah. He said, you're broke. Family ain't got no money. You was just talking about killing 7 people yesterday. What are you talking about? What is all this go home, go to Harvard stuff? And he was trying to talk me out of it. And all I heard was my friends in the 9th grade taking my trumpet from me. That's all that was ringing in my ears. And it took everything. He was a good friend of mine. I wanted to snap his neck. Not because of him, but for my friends in the 9th grade that stole my trumpet. I got a dream, and you're trying to take it from me. Been down this road, and it got me nowhere. So there's a scripture that says, I think it was one of the disciples are telling Jesus he couldn't do something. He says, Satan, get behind me. If I'd have known the scripture, I'd have said it to him. But I said, just get the fuck out of my way. I got this. I went back to my cell. I called my mom. I said, Mom, I figured it out. And she was like, that's nice. I called my grandmother. She was still living. She said, that's nice. You okay? And I called my dad. I said, Dad, I know I've been in disappointment. I know I'm not the son that you wanted me to be. I've messed up so many times, it's pathetic. But I finally figured it out, Dad. I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to Harvard. I'm going to be successful. He told me no. He said, you can't do that. He said, when you come home, I'm going to get you a job in a factory. and you're going to do that. I said, Dad, I don't want to work in a factory. I want to go to Harvard. I want to be successful. He said, factory is a successful job, son. I said, no, it's not. I want to do this. And we argued. And he called me an asshole and he hung up on me. He said, that's why you're in jail. You don't never listen to me. And he hung up. And for the first time I got so mad I wanted to hit somebody. And I realized for the first time in my life what would happen is I would talk to my father. He would berate me, belittle me, and I'd go beat somebody up. And I never, ever saw it prior to that conversation. Because it was the first time I was in a whole nother mind space. And he shook me back into the space I had just transferred out of. The old beat up on everybody Andre. And I realized he would yell at me and I would take it out on somebody else. But this time I said no.
So that's sort of your whole life journey. You were trying to be the most successful criminal because you would get this from your dad and you had
the rage.
Yeah.
He would give me rage. And so what I did is I realized I was on my own. And I tell people, I go talk around the country in different schools, I tell kids, God will give you a dream. And it's for you. You can't tell everybody else what was given to you and expect them to understand it because it's for you. It's your gift. Other people won't understand your gift or your passion or your purpose. And if you try to explain it to them, they won't understand it, so they'll do what they always do, go against what they don't know. Ignorance, just shut it down. Instead of saying, hey, man, I think I'm going this way, can you help me? You go too far and try to explain it to them. And the details of it just seem too big for them. So they try to knock it down. So I realized I'm on my own. It's just me and my dream. So I signed up for GED class. Nice little white lady came down, GED teacher, she's probably like 120 pounds, and she locked in a room with me. And she started teaching me my GED. And the COs came down, was like, oh, you shouldn't be teaching him. He's a criminal, he's a psychopath. But she taught me. I got my GED. She said, you can go to Harvard. Don't quit. I got out of segregation. I went to counseling. I had a slight anger management problem. So I figured I couldn't be successful and stab people in the face. So I went to anger management every day. Then I started going to college. I started going to programs. I quit the gang. So what I did is I went, saw the guys, did my version of opting out. I love them to this day. I support them to this day, but I just can't sell drugs with you. I can't fight with you on the yard no more. You know what I'm saying? If you need me, it's critical, I gotta be there, I'll be there, but respect my decision. I'm over here. And I just went to counseling in school every day. Every day.
inside prison.
Inside prison. I went to the law library and taught myself the law. I became a jailhouse lawyer. Paul Simmons, Mahdi, taught me the law. They showed me how to shepherdize cases, research cases, file briefs, and I flipped the case on appeal. Took 10 years off my sentence. And every day I went to counseling, went to therapy, went to counseling, went to school, went to therapy. Every day, bar none. Nothing, no more yard, no more basketball, no more handball, just to the counseling building. I'm in there every day. Then one day the guys came and was like, yo, Dre, what's up with you and all this counseling stuff? I said, dude, I got issues, man. So I'm trying to work them out. They were like, yo, you're the smartest guy in the prison. What are you talking about? You got issues. I was like, dude, I said, me and my dad is just, me and my mom, my sister, it's all in my head, is just messing my life up. See, but for them, prison was normal. Abnormal had become normal to them. I'm like, nah, I want to fix this so I can go be successful. They're like, you talking that Harvard stuff again? I said, man, what's really going on in that counseling center? Now they're challenging me. So I said, I'll tell you what. I'm going to counseling tomorrow. That's a given. I got two options. I can either go to counseling and talk about me and my father and how our relationship has ruined my life and messed me up. Or I can go to the unit, get my knife, come back and stab you in the face and go tell the counselor why I had to do it. And that you were trying to get in the way of me talking about my dad. So which do you think is a better option?
They tell you to go to counseling.
He said, dude, that's horrible what your dad did to you, man. You need to fix that. I said, you sure? I have not forgotten how to stab people in the face. You're my man, but you're in my way.
Yeah.
Then, no, Dre, go to counseling. Then after I started to walk off, he came and said, yo, Dre, he said, if you get any tips, let me know, because I got beef with my father too. Because I kept wanting my father to be the dad I wanted him to be, instead of me accepting the dad that he could be. I wanted the perfect dad. I grew up watching Leave It to Beaver, Partridge Family. You know what I'm saying? Grew up watching Happy Days. You know what I'm saying? I wanted that. That's what you gave me on TV. You gave me Happy Days. You know what I'm saying? You gave me Leave It to Beaver. You gave me Laverne and Shirley. You gave me all these wonderful TV, the Partridge Family. This is what you gave me. I want that. My dad wouldn't qualify for any of those shows in any capacity. And I didn't know how to love him for being him. I wanted him to be that thing that they showed me a dad, according to TV, was supposed to be. Doing homework, having dinner. They couldn't put our stuff on. They still can't put our stuff on TV. Our stuff would not be on TV ever. Because it just wouldn't fit what happened in that household. And I couldn't, as a young man, understand that my father is who he is. And he's not going to change. And to this day, he hasn't. And that's okay. Because I understand him now. And I understand me now. I didn't understand me or him before. And I just kept working and working and working. And one day I'm in a unit, and there was these kids, young kids, they were bullying this guy. This guy was like 6'5", 6'6", but he was like semi-retarded. And they're bullying him. And they're like just giving him a hard time, nothing else to do. So I'm like, yo, leave him alone. See, I'm 6'2" now. You know what I'm saying? I'm 280. I wasn't always 6'2", 280. I used to be 4'11", 80 pounds when I was in middle school. And I hated bullies because of that. So I'm like, yo, leave him alone. Yo, dude, leave him alone. I'm still a shot caller. Like, so they stand down. The guy comes over, introduces himself. His name was Bob. And he says, I thank you for helping me. Just says, introduce himself. I said, cool. You can tell he was kind of slow. I don't care. Then he had this thing where he would say hi to people. He would see you and say, hi. Hi, Bob. I was never too cool to say hi to people. Even when I was coming up the ranks and I was I'm never an asshole. You know what I'm saying? I'm just me. I got goals. Goals and assholes, two different things. So he would say, I would run into him maybe 3 times a week on the campus. I moved past, he was like, hey, Andre. I'm like, hi, Bob. That's it. No big deal. I'm running with the guys who run the camp. I'm handling my business. I see Bob, I say hi. 2 seconds. One day I'm walking through the program building. Walked by a classroom and Bob was sitting in there. So I backed up. Let me go in the classroom and say hi to Bob. So I walk in, say hi, Bob. He was sitting with another guy. I said, who's this? This is Nanton. He introduces me to Nanton. And I said, what are y'all doing? He said, we're studying. I don't know what it was, but there's something about Nanton. I said, can I come study with you? He said, sure. So I sat down. I started studying with Nanton. At the time, I didn't notice a black jacket or the white dress shirt. What's the big deal? Or the little things coming from under his jacket. Or the little yarmulke on his head. I didn't know what a yarmulke was. I didn't know what an Orthodox Jewish rabbi was. But he was an Orthodox Jewish rabbi and Bob was Jewish. Whatever that meant. I'm from the hood. We don't know what that means. So every Wednesday I'm going to Jewish services unbeknownst to me. And I'm sitting with the rabbi and he tells the best stories. If you have a rabbi and he can't tell stories, you might want to consider changing rabbis. My rabbi tells the best stories. And we go every week and he'd tell us stories and lessons and fables. He was just the bomb. And we 5 books of Moses, we did some reading, but it wasn't about me becoming Jewish, him becoming black. He did something for me nobody ever done before. When I first got down and I found out he was Jewish and they told me all that Holocaust, I'm like, okay, this dude probably got issues. So I just asked him what he felt about Germans and asked him what he felt about this and asked him what he felt about, and every word that came out that man's mouth, regardless of question, was pure love. Regardless of the persons or the people, it was always pure love. I could not get this man, I was trying to say one negative thing or one bad thing like, well, fuck them, but we good people. Yeah. Just no. It was 100%. And I know people, I read people well, all love. And then he started doing stuff for me through the classes and the fables and the stories. He taught me responsibility. He taught me ethics. He taught me kindness. He taught me how to think of other people. And he taught me forgiveness. In short, he taught me how to be human. I'd never had a human class in my life. It was always crush, kill, destroy. Crush, kill, destroy. Crush, kill, destroy. That's all I've ever been taught. And I was good at it. Crush from Rock'em Sock'em Robots when I was a kid. I was good at it. Crush, kill, destroy. Nanton taught me how to love. He taught me how to be human and to be okay being human. And I sat with him for 18 months, studying every Wednesday. Then subsequently, I went to the parole board. I got parole, and I ended up joining the Catholic Church because a friend invited me to go to a Catholic program. So I go to the Catholic program, and I ended up getting saved. June 12th at 7 p.m., Father Martin from St. Basil's in Methuen read my sinner's prayer to me. And I accepted God, accepted Jesus, and I'm on the home team. So it's all good. Me and Father Martin are like this. That's my guy. Then he put me, I ain't go front. I came out of the Catholic service, and I went to Protestant service. That's where the black people went. So I went to the Protestant services, and they read scriptures way too fast. They jump around in no particular order, and I couldn't keep up. So like 2 weeks, I'm saved, I'm feeling good, I got the ghost in me, whatever you want to call it, and I'm in service on Sunday morning, and the pastor's like, Galatians 6, Proverbs 5, Matthew 4, and I'm like, I couldn't keep up. I didn't know what was going on. So the music was good, but I couldn't keep up with the lessons. So I went back to Mass. If you've ever been to Mass, it is so straightforward and simple. I could sit there, and after like 4 weeks, I figured it out. The songs were simple, the whole flow, not saying God is simple, but the order of the service was simple. And I could sit there and figure out what we were doing. It was one lesson per week, the homily. And he gave the lesson, and he gave the homily explaining the lesson. I could do that. So I started going to Mass every week. And the black guys came and was like, yo, Dre, what's up with you and this rabbi guy? I'm like, that's my dude. Oh, you can't hang out with the rabbi. I'm like, why? Because he's going to hell. What do you mean he's going to hell? He won't profess Jesus as his Lord and Savior, so therefore he's going to hell. I'm like, how you get that? I said, dude, he's studying, he believes. No. There's definitions and different levels of this. And on the Catholic thing, they got it backwards too. I know you're going to Mass all the time. They ain't got it right either. They changed the book around. They got the catechism. I'm like, hold up. What are you talking about? They said, well, first you got to get rid of the rabbi. Then we're going to work on the Catholics. I'm like, hold on, man. What are you talking about? He said, well, he explained to me that in order to be saved, you must believe in Jesus Christ. And believing in Jesus gives you the newfound hand to reach to God. They gave me the whole line. I said, you know something? I believe that. I believe this. Wherever Nanton goes, I'll go. I have no problem. If he's going to hell for the next eternity, I am so cool sitting next to Nanton for eternity wherever he ends up. Now, I'm going with him because when I first started this journey, you wouldn't come within 1,000 feet of me. That man sat with me. The only reason you're able to talk to me is because he witnessed to me. Otherwise, you'd be over there with them scared kids. So wherever he's going, I'm going. And if you want to see Jesus, I can get you there now. I know some people right now on this campus, in prison, and you can get to see Jesus today. No, Andre, it ain't like that. It's not like that. No, yes, it is. If you said you so in love with Jesus, there's nothing better than being with Jesus. Let's get you there. I'm gonna stay in hell with my rabbi. We're gonna get you to the promised land, to glory. We're gonna get you to glory right now. No, Dre, I ain't trying to go to glory. Then shut up and get out my business. Then the Catholic thing, they're like, oh, I'm like, listen. No, they had a sex scandal. Man, you weren't here for sex crimes. So you gonna talk about the Catholic Church. Get out of here. They had issues. They had flaws like everybody else. And my two nuns, Ruth and Kathleen, were there every day holding my hand. And Nanton was there holding my hand while I was getting my life together. And on November 15th, 1999, I walked out of prison. And they had gave me purpose and direction to go with my energy and engagement process. I walked out of prison, went to the parole office, walked out of there, walked into a youth center 90 minutes after I got out and did my first speech. I told those kids they were going to jail, not because they were black, not because they carried guns or smoked weed, because somebody let them down, somebody wasn't standing up for them, somebody didn't believe in them. And I said, I'm here to show you that I can believe in you and how you can learn to believe in yourself. And I've been doing it for 18 and a half years since.
Wow. So let's talk about that then. What What do you do for kids? I mean, I know a lot, but tell me about where it starts and what you're doing.
I started doing gang interventions for black kids in the inner city, Hispanic kids. Then I started doing it for girls because they asked me to speak to the girls. I said, I don't know nothing about being a girl. Then I started working with girls, and lo and behold, they have 10 times more issues than boys because they learn how they're supposed to be and how they're supposed to be treated by their dad treating their mom with respect. When they don't see that, they get way off course. And everything's super sexual with them. People are always approaching them, attacking them around sex. And 1 out of 4 girls are molested before they get to high school. And it's just all bad. And they're super emotional creatures on top of being vulnerable creatures, on top of. I'm with equal rights and equal liberties, but they're vulnerable, more so than guys. And they catch a bad deal, more so than guys. And these little girls are just out there traumatized and just looking for love in all the wrong places, and it's not gonna pop up. So I started doing programs for young girls. Then I'm 2.5 years all over the city doing gang interventions, school visits, church visits, all denominations across the board. Then somebody said to me, Andre, they did an assessment of our program. They said, you're doing great, but you're denying kids. You're denying them because they're white and their parents want to pay you. I was like, white? White kids ain't got no problems. This is their country. They own everything. They own all the businesses. They own all the schools. They're the top lawyers. They're the top doctors. They own everything. White kids ain't got no problems. So we went back and forth. I said, know something? I'm going to go to a white school just to show you and prove to you that they fine. So we picked this one school. We called it. We set up the appointment. Said, okay, Arnie's going to come down, do the school visit. She said, what kind of car are you driving? I said, I got a black Benz. She called the police. She had a black Benz, let it through. It was one of them towns, they're so rich. There's no off-ramp from the highway into their town. You have to get off 2 towns down and drive through bad signage. This is before Google Maps. And I pull up, they're like right on the bay. It's nice. You pull up in front of the school, the flag's flying. And you pull up, there's a student parking lot with some really nice cars in it. We used to go to school in stolen cars. These kids got a parking lot for them. Never heard of. Park the car, walk inside, no metal detector. What kind of school is this no metal detector? Come on. It's a nice lady. Hi, how you doing, Mr. Norman? Nice to meet you. I'm like, yeah, whatever. You want to go on a tour? Nah, I've seen mansions before, and this is a mansion, I get it. Take me to the auditorium. She walks into the auditorium, plaques, buildings, nice wood. Auditorium, state of the art. Amphitheater. This wasn't an auditorium, it's an amphitheater. Like, yeah, these kids got it made. I don't know what she's talking about. I'm laughing at myself the whole time. I can't wait to get back to see my friend and tell her, these kids got it made. I don't know why you sent me out. It's a waste of my time. And I'm sitting there, just chilling. All the kids file in, and the truth is, she filed it. You ever see the kids in the movies with the all black hair, the black polish, and the black clothes? I thought that shit was a joke. Them kids really exist. The 2-3 girls walked in. They had black clothes on, black polish, and black mutts. I'm like, what is this? My mother would have killed my sister. She tried to go outside like that. So I'm sitting there. Little preppy kids walk in. I'm like, look at little snotty little kids. That's what I'm saying to myself. And I start talking to them. Hi, my name is Andre. Blah, 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 blah. And I started talking. I found out something. They do drugs at the white school. I kept talking. They got bullies at the white school. I kept talking. They have dummy classes at the white school. Kept talking. We got kids who don't fit in at the white school. We kept talking. And all the issues we had, they had. The one little girl walked up to me. She showed me her arm. She had cuts from her wrist to her elbow. I said, what is that? She said, that's what I do when people don't listen to me. I was like, whoa, we don't do that in the hood. This is like next level trauma. This is like trauma I never understood before. So I'm still trying to prove my narrative. I'm not gonna front. I'm still thinking, okay, all the stuff that they told me was true, but I gotta be right. I got this thing about being right. And I need to be right just because this was my narrative. So I came off with well, at least you got dads. You got dads, we don't. You win, we win, you lose. As far as who has it the worst. They said, dads? You mean the guy that sleeps upstairs? Yeah, that's your dad. You got a dad in the house. Ain't none of us got dads in the house, so y'all got it better than us. Oh, that guy that sleeps upstairs? He don't know me. Little girl said he doesn't come to any of my events. Doesn't know any of my friends. doesn't participate in anything that I do. His secretary sends me gifts on my birthday, spells my name wrong still. He tolerates my mother, and he's always on his phone. That's not my dad. We don't call him dad. That's just the guy that sleeps upstairs. And I was like, whoa. When I walked out of that school, I had a new understanding. And I said, never again will I judge a situation based on my ignorance. And if my phone rings, I'm just going to show up. If it's white, if it's black, if it's poor, if it's rich, I'm just going to show up. Because what those kids taught me that day is being 15 is hard no matter where you live. If you live in the suburbs, you live in the city, you live in rural areas, you live in another country, 15 is just hard. Doesn't matter where, when, how, what color, what size house you're in, 15 is just hard. And my commitment after that day was just to show up. If you call me, I'll show up. And I started opening my mind, opening my vision to my skill set is to help people. And I teach people to help folks. Because people go, hey, Dre, how can you show me how? So part of my training is now, what do you do? What do you want to do? I want to go help kids in the hood. Okay, I get that. Because generally black guys I'm talking to, I say, you want to help black kids in the hood? Yep. Do you help white kids? No. Why? They got everything. Now I walk in and I say, okay, do you help kids or do you help black kids? Do you help kids or do you help Spanish kids? Do you help kids or do you help kids in poverty? You can specialize in a given area. There's nothing wrong with having a specialty, but be somebody who helps everybody. I will not teach you anything that I know unless you agree, or at least you have to lie, that you help kids. That if chance comes, you will be equipped to help everybody. I will not train you just to help black kids. I will not train you just to help gang members. I will only train you if you are willing to help all kids. Now, you might not get a chance to help other demographics, but you'll at least be skilled.
So so now I know because we've been talking, they've called you in, to stop gang riots. They've called you in. I mean, you go to people's houses and help them talk their kid off a lead from ODing. I mean, tell me how you do that, how that happens.
I go out, I give speeches. So I give motivational speeches. People pay me to come out and give a speech for a conference or association or chapter for a business. They'll bring me in. All my speeches, if you hire me, I say, fine, you pay me my fee, we'll pick the day, that's fine. Then I say to you, this is what I want to do. Nick, I want to come in 3 days early or 4 days early and do some charity outreach work. Go to the local schools, the local programs, the local charity shelters, soup kitchens, prisons, jails, churches. And I'll do 3 or 4 or 5 days. I've done up to 2 weeks of strictly volunteer, no charge. 7, 8 speeches a day for as many days as you can set them up. Then we'll do yours on the back end or someplace in the middle. And that's what I do. And inevitably, when I come in, there's always that parent or that teacher or that person that says, hey, there's this one kid. He's in dire needs right now. So I went to Phoenix a few weeks ago. And I called a friend, told him I was in Phoenix. He connected with one of his friends. The guy didn't even want to talk to me. He called me not because he didn't want to talk, he was busy. He called just as a courtesy to say, hey, I'm busy. I don't have time to meet with you. I said, that's fine. I said, is there anybody that I can help that you know of in your community? And I think that morning, his wife's best friend had called him and said, my son is just over the edge on these drugs. He's been making his own concoctions, he's mixing all kinds. They hid the liquor, so he started making his own liquor. He thought he was. He was on drugs, on alcohol, bad. And he was just going the wrong way. And the mom had called his wife, her best friend, and was crying the blues. And she called her husband. So he called me to say, I can't meet with you. And I say to him, is there anybody I can help? He says, you know something? I got this kid down the street, nice, we call them bubble kids, in a bubble neighborhood, super exclusive, who's having extreme issues. So I was at another meeting, finished about 9:30, got to his house at 10 o'clock at night. We jumped in the car, we go to the house. The kid thinks he's being snatched and taken off to Utah to a program. 2 big black guys come walking in his house. He's like, oh my God, they're gonna snatch me. So he's talking to me. I said, where's he at? Me and the kid, we go out by the pool, of course, sit in the companion, we start talking. And in that conversation, we come to an understanding of why he's using, where he started, and what he's getting out of it, and what we can replace that with. And then he comes out of that meeting, he walks into the kitchen, he says to his mom, "Mom, I'm sorry. I've been completely out of control. I'm willing to get treatment. I'm willing to get help." And he turns to his little sister and says, "Sis, I am so sorry for giving you such a hard time and giving Mom such a hard time. I know it's affecting you and what you're doing, and I'm sorry, and I'll be better." Now, what I do in those meetings is I listen. People have pain. People have reasons for why they do what they do. And so often, so many people are looking to prescribe a solution. They're looking to fix your problem. Then in trying to fix your problem, that they don't listen to you. I know what your problem is. You just need this. I know what your problem is. You need that. Or here's this medication, or here's this program. And oftentimes you miss. We do it with our wives. Wife's trying to talk to you. "Yeah, honey, I know what you want." No, what I really want is you just to listen to me.
Yeah.
I had a problem trying to be the solution guy.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never been accused of that.
The husband is the solution guy. And we come up with solutions, and they don't really want a solution. They just want us to listen to them. They want us to go through the process with them. I'm processing. No, just get to the point. What do you want? I'm processing. Why are you calling me then? You're my husband, damn it. So the kids want to process. They need to process. And so many times adults are trying to prescribe or solve. And you miss the reason why.
I'll stop there for a second because that's fascinating to me, because obviously we have, it's happening everywhere. Lots of kids are turning to opioids. They're ODing, they're in gated neighborhoods, nice communities there. And is it detachment? Obviously there's many different issues, but is it the fact that the kids, at some point, kids crying out for something, and the parent just tries to prescribe and move on because they're too busy? They have to do what they have to do. Mom's got to raise more kids, or she's got to work, or dad's got to do it. Why do you think? You've obviously seen a lot of it. Why do you think's happening?
The reason why kids are getting high or using drugs is it ranges from feeling neglected, having been abused, not being heard, trying to fit in. There's a range of reasons, from trying to fit in to being neglected to trying to hide pain, minimize pain, or call out for attention. There's a range of reasons why kids start getting high. But once they start, it all becomes the same. Now they're stuck in the get high mode. And oftentimes we'll say, let's get them off of drugs, which is a great concept. But if you don't handle the underlying issue, it'll come back either back as drugs or another form.
The thing that when you and I first spoke to is something that most people don't think about. When someone's in a mode of trying to get high and most likely trying to hide it from other people,
right,
they live in like two lives. They're living their home life and then they're living their drug life. Just enlighten us a bit on that.
The double life that people will live when they're getting high. In the beginning, they'll hide it because they're embarrassed of it, they're ashamed of it, they're trying not to let people know, they think it's a little private secret or a little secret club thing, so they're hiding it from mom and dad. But the truth is they've been hiding stuff from mom and dad since day one. This is just the latest on the list of things they hide from mom and dad. Moms are the last one to know. We always call it the mom version. You get the mom version. But the real story is kids who hide it to the point where it comes out. And once it comes out with rage. Well, I'm going to do this, F you. I'm going to do this, forget you. I'm going to do this in spite of you. You can't stop me. Now, once it comes out, I'm using it as a way to harm you. Because you've harmed me, in my opinion. You've hurt my feelings. You've let me down. You didn't support me. Whatever the thing is that you didn't protect me or guide me through, I'm holding against you. You might not know what it is, probably don't. So once I see your response to me getting high and you're in pain, so now I'm going to double down on my pain to make you in pain. So misery loves company. So, this bothers you. This upsets you. This changes your day. This gets you off your phone. This makes you pay attention to me. This makes you focus on me. So let me get high more.
It sounds like, as I trace back your entire story, there's sort of some common humanity things here that, everyone wants some sort of significance and power. So even you, when you were getting in trouble, you got new clothes, it gave you some significance. You get in jail, you want to be the number one criminal in jail because that was the structure for you just to be heard, to get significance, and to have some power. And it seems to me like in so many situations, no matter if a kid has, a Ferrari is the car you buy him as his first car. If he feels disempowered and insignificant, it will lead to a lot of these problems.
If you don't talk to your kids, then you don't know where they're thinking, where they are emotionally. Emotional wellness is the world. At the end, it's your emotions dictate and guide everything that you do. Not your brain, I'm saying not your thoughts, it's your emotions. If you're happy, if you're sad, if you're elated, if you're depressed, it's all emotions. Emotions come first, actions come second. And oftentimes, adults and parents, we grew up telling our kids what to do. I told my son what to wear. I told him what he was going to eat. I told him when he was going to go to the store. I told him what bedtime was. I told him what he could watch on TV. I remember the first time we went to the store, I used to buy my son's clothes. I picked out the sneakers for him, something that I liked for him. Mm-hmm. And he picked out the complete opposite colors. I'm like, those are dumb colors, Brooks. What are you talking about? No, Dad, I want these. I've come to understand he picked the opposite just to get away from what I wanted. He might not even like purple and green or whatever it was, but it was something that Dad wouldn't have chosen, which gave him his independence. So the transition from telling our kids what to do to allowing them to make up their own minds and pick their own colors and pick their own clothes, sometimes they rage out a little far just to get away from us because we've been holding them so tight. And sometimes we don't let them go. We still in the tell them what to do mode. I have parents who have 20, 30-year-old kids that they still talk to them like they're 12. And they defend them like they're 12. I'm like, this man is 33 years old. You can't talk about him like he's 12. Well, he doesn't, no, he's 33 years old, ma'am. But mom can't do the disconnect. Dad can't do the disconnect on this kid is no longer 12. And it's not to blame parents, but parents don't want to accept their role. Mom and dad aren't to blame, but if you raised this kid, you participated in some level, directly or indirectly. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, the results are the results. So what did you do to make this happen? I love my mother. I tell people I am my mother reborn. But when I came out of prison, my mom was like, yo, you can come stay with me. I thought about it. Love my mother. She's a great mom. She's a wonderful person, highly intelligent, great person. Me, mom, same house, 18 years equaled Andre in prison. Not blaming her. Those are the facts. For 18 years, I lived with this woman. And at the end of that, I ended up in prison. Why'd I want to do that again? It didn't work the first time. So I can still love mom, great mom, everything mom, but me and her in the same house equaled Andre in prison in some capacity. I don't know what twitch could have, should have been changed, not trying to find out. Because at the end of the story, if it goes bad again, I go back to prison. So I lived someplace else and loved mom 100%. Mom and dad, their kid, somewhere in there, it equaled their kid on drugs. Mom and dad usually don't want to change. I told parents the other day, if you want a new child, I need new parents. They said, what do you mean? I said, your child responds from the inputs that you give them. If you give them these inputs, you get these outputs. If you want a different output, we need different inputs. That means you got to change first. But no, they're getting in trouble. They need to change first. You two came first. So what you put in, you press a button, he responds, she responds. If you need to learn, press a different button. If you don't want to be new parents, you will never get a new child.
Yeah, the tools that got you here are not the tools that are going to get you out of it, right?
No, it's not. And it's not a blame thing. It's the guilt, the shame, the embarrassment. One of the hardest things to do. One of the hardest things to do, especially for suburban parents who are doing well in their businesses and their lives, is to ask somebody else for help for their child. Because it says at one level, if your mind is playing tricks on you, I'm not good enough, smart enough, capable enough to raise my own child. I have to ask for help.
Oh, it goes right back to it's projecting a weakness.
I'm not going to project weakness. Well, your kid is going to suffer. And I make it a point to tell all the parents, I appreciate you giving me the chance to help you. Because so many refuse to help. They know they need it, but they refuse it. What they do is they'll pack their kid up, They'll ship them out to Utah, to Wyoming, to some forestry camp, and let them take care of it out there, then bring them back and tell the kids to act like they never had a problem. You can't suppress pain. You can't suppress emotion and expect it to disappear.
And then the same environment is what created the problem.
Right. Let's not let anybody know we got a problem because we're an upstanding family.
Right.
And we'll ship you to someplace else so nobody knows about your treatment. And when you come back, you was visiting your auntie. And the kid's like, he's trapped. I feel I want to get my life together. I want to open and express myself. I had one mom tell me, kid was on like 32 different drugs when we got him to the treatment center. They did a urine test, 32 different drugs. We get him off drugs, we get him stable, we get him going in the right direction. He wants to tell people his story as a way of therapizing. I encourage them, listen, the more you can talk about it and the more you can learn to help people, the more you help yourself. The mom said, can he say it without admitting he used drugs? But Mom, he used every drug known to man. But no, we don't want him saying on stage that he actually used drugs. But he did. And that's part of his story. But can we change that part?
And that's part of his problem.
That's part of his problem.
Right. Wow. So I know, just so people watching, you help a lot of people. You speak a lot. If you need a great speaker, have Andre come in. You do community service along the way. You bring everyone you're speaking for along with you. You got great stuff. And you also fly anywhere in the world just to help a kid. You don't charge any money to do it. That's part of your
If you
mission.
call me and I can help your child, I'll come. Now, granted, there's limitations to that because there's only so many. There's more than 365 kids in need of help.
Right.
So I can't spend my entire day going places and just working and volunteering year round.
Right.
But if I can help your kid, I'll help your kid. That's easy. And if, hey, this is a great guy, I want to hire him and bring him in to speak to my company, I say to those folks, if you're not trying to make a difference in your community, call somebody else. If you want to call to hire me, I'm going to ask you, can we do some community outreach? If you say I don't have time for that, I can't really fit that in, then call. I can give you a speakers bureau with a lot of great speakers that'll come up, show up for an hour, give you a dynamic speech, and leave. I have so much time left on this planet. I want to use it doing the right thing. And simply helping a business be a better business isn't the thing that I'm put here for. I want to help your business make impact in your community and in your business. Of course, you have to make money. You have to streamline your systems, better sales, team building, do all that.
Yep.
We can take your sales through the roof. We can take your team, make them super tight, but we have to help the community.
Love it. And they can find you at AndreNorman.com, right?
AndreNorman.com.
And all the social media is Andre Norman. They just find you everywhere that way.
Twitter, Andre Norman. Instagram, Andre Norman. My Facebook is Andre Norman. You know what I'm saying? So
Got it.
I'm easy.
Thanks for sharing your message, man. I appreciate it.